name's Adam Blazer. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Jewish Life TV, JLTV. I have not had a chance to meet many of you, but thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to celebrate JLTV's 10th anniversary. I also want to thank our friends at HBO, Steve Sheffer and Rusty Fortune, for making tonight possible and having us in their home. When my father, Phil, and I set out to start JLTV back in 2006, 10 years ago, we wanted to create the 24/7 Jewish television network that communicated the rich history, culture, and heritage of the Jewish people, not just for Jews, but for everyone. And we're really proud of the work we've accomplished with some of the friends in this room over the last 10 years. And today, we're also very proud that the network's available in over 45 million homes across the country and in Canada. Tonight's also a bit about the future, of course. We're gonna be watching the premiere episode of America Undiscovered. I also just want to take a moment to thank some other friends in the room who've done some amazing things with us over the years. Peter Max, the very talented artist, is here, and he's done some amazing work. Our friend Karen Hoffman from Bradford is here, and Yael Baker and the Jamaica Tourism Board is here as well. So I want to just acknowledge you. Thank you for being here. Another one of our friends over the last several years, and this is an organization you no doubt have heard of, is Stand With Us. Stand With Us has a series on JLTV that airs Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's hosted by their founder, Roz Rothstein. And I'm going to take a moment to introduce you to Shachar. He's going to speak a little bit about Stand With Us. And so, Shachar Zani, please.
Thank you very much, Adam. Congratulations for JLTV. I just want to say on behalf of Stand With Us, which is an Israel education organization, how thankful we are for this tremendous partnership with JLTV. You know, we live in dark times when so much negativity surrounds us and so much evil takes place in the world, and we need to be able to speak up for the Jewish people's narrative and for the state of Israel. It's enough to have a core of knowledge, but it's not useful if we don't have the ability to convey that core of knowledge to the mass populace, to the general public, to the Jewish communities, because only through doing this are we able to create a strong network of people who stand up for the Jewish causes, the Jewish people, and the state of Israel. The partnership that Stand With Us has had with JLTV over the years has given us that tool to tell Israel's story in a way that people are able to accept it and use it in their own communities. We are outnumbered by our enemies. Having a partnership with JLTV allows us to overcome those barriers and stand up for the one and only Jewish state that we have. On behalf of Stand With Us and Roz Rothstein, our founder and CEO, I want to say thank you to you, Adam, to Phil, Susan, congratulations, and to all of you for supporting this important cause organization and to be a family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shachar. So tonight is very special, not only because we're celebrating the 10th anniversary, but also because we're premiering America Undiscovered. When Susan Nieslas and I first met with my father, Phil, 2 years ago, we had worked together on exciting projects in Israel and Maccabiah Games and some interesting things, but we knew that America Undiscovered was going to be the flagship series for the network. It really conveys the ethos of what we set out to do in 2006. So without any further delays, I hope you enjoy the premiere. You're the first one seeing it, so enjoy.
No, we is this New York deli different from any other? From the looks of it, nothing seems out of the ordinary. The pastrami looks lean and luscious. Happy customers are savoring their matzo ball soup. There's even salami hanging from the rafters. Stumped? Let me give you a few hints. In the 1930s, New York City had more than 2,500 Jewish delis. With the high cost of meat and healthier eating trends, there are only about 150 left in all of North America. But third-generation deli man Ziggy Gruber, a former New Yorker, is doing his part to keep the tradition alive. Unable to afford skyrocketing rents in Manhattan, he partnered with Houston friend Kenny Friedman and opened up a real Jewish deli. Who'd have thought some of the best corned beef in America would be found in a strip mall in Houston? See, I would find it impossible to work here. You're tasting, you're looking, you're watching, you're cooking all day long. How do you discipline yourself? You're surrounded by this delicious...
Well, just look at me. I'm full of discipline.
You're saying it's not easy.
You know, my wife tells me, my problem is I need to exercise a little bit more. Everyone's telling me if I exercise more, then I don't have to worry what I eat. But listen, I should try it because maybe they got something there. It beats the alternative.
Ziggy, I love you. So I think it was Milton Berle who said, a man who eats a deli sandwich on white bread should die.
No. He said, any time a person walks into a delicatessen store and orders a pastrami sandwich on white bread with mayo, somewhere out there, a deli man dies. And that's true.
The word delicatessen means delicate eating. And let's face it, I didn't travel all the way to Houston to talk about Milton Berle.
You know why the soup tastes so good? Because people don't realize, besides the chicken and bones and stuff like this, we get fitzgelach, the feet.
The feet.
And the feet has a lot of collagen and a lot of flavor into it.
Maybe it'll help my skin.
Absolutely.
A little sour cream, a little...
Isn't that good?
It's beyond.
All right.
Sorry. Kidding.
Now try the stuffed cabbage.
Ziggy says he feels the presence of his ancestors around him while he cooks. I wanted to learn more about that. So let's go back. What got you into this? Because you're a third-generation deli man.
I was sitting in a booth in my father's delicatessen store in Spring Valley, New York, called Crest Hill Kosher Deli. My grandfather was there as well. My grandfather saw me in the booth, and he threw an apron at me at 8 years old. And he said, you know what, you're old enough, it's time to make a living. And this is what I did. I listened to my grandfather because I loved him and I respected him. He was like my best friend. When I was 15 years old, he passed away. And I took it very bad.
Ziggy's parents took their grieving son to England as a distraction. It turned out to be a life-changing experience. He got accepted into one of Europe's most prestigious culinary schools and was soon cooking for London's glitterati and the Queen herself. So you are one of the nation's great culinarians and great gourmet chefs at this point in your 20s.
Well, I was basically, you know, making my bones, cutting my teeth, as you can say, and learning a trade.
What happened next was pure serendipity. Ziggy went to visit his parents at the same time the Delicatessen Dealers Association was having its annual dinner. Ziggy had no intention of getting back in the business, but on a whim, he decided to go to the dinner with his father.
So we went there, and I went and I looked around the room, and what did I see? I saw 70-year-old people, I saw 60-year-old people. I didn't see any young people in this room. So I said to myself, I said, who's gonna perpetuate this food?
Ziggy's father adamantly wanted him to stay away from having a deli and stick with being a gourmet chef.
But that's not where my heart was. When I looked around this, I knew the Yiddishness was calling me. I knew that this was my calling, that I must perpetuate this kind of food.
Ziggy could no longer deny the destiny his ancestors had laid out for him. Being a deli man was in his DNA.
Okay. We don't slice either V-cut or this cut. We go right across. Before Herman was slicing this, he used to also be a mohel.
I was lucky enough to break bread with a man who's got the perfect combination of heart and chutzpah, who serves comfort food that would make any Jewish grandmother proud.
To me, I think today I get as much respect as anything else, but the reality is you have to do what you love to do. And what I love to do is to really do the Yiddish cooking, to bring back those recipes that nobody's doing anymore, because this is what makes me happy in sharing that with people.
A third of Jewish Life TV's 9.5 million viewers. Adam talked about that they're in 45 million households, but 9.5 million viewers. A third of them are non-Jews who are very interested in understanding and being engaged with Jewish culture and the diversity that's reflected in that culture. So we want to make this available to everybody and bring people together with these uplifting and inspiring stories. And I just gave you a sampling of them. You know, these last 2 years have been a labor of love getting to this point. And this has been the journey of a lifetime, without a doubt. I've had occasion to meet with my crew in an RV, by the way, which is a whole nother story for another time. I've had occasion to travel, especially through the South over the summer, which is always a great time to go to the Deep South. Never wear white on camera, you learn that even when it's hot out. But that was an amazing experience, and some of the people we met were extraordinary. They all were. I think about people like Joel Brown, a successful business owner in a suburb outside of New Orleans, whose business and home were destroyed by Katrina. And it was the Jewish community, the local Jewish community, that helped him to rally around him and physically rebuild. And he's bigger and better than ever today. And hopefully we'll have an episode about him in our next story. But it's about that connection. That's part of our heritage, that's woven into the fabric of our DNA, that we can all relate to, again, no matter where we live. And I want to be able to do more of these stories as I shared, because I'm so passionate about it, as is our crew. Hundreds of thousands of stories, people like Anne and Bill and Ziggy, who you saw, who represent the best of Judaism, who do what we call tekiah olam, quietly doing their job to help repair the world, which is so important in today's society, and who represent what we call the ruach, the Jewish spirit that is so vibrant that we want to perpetuate. So on behalf of JLTV and my crew and everybody involved, it does take a village. I want to thank you all for coming and to let you know that we have lots of stories to come. We look forward to your support, any ideas you have. And we have a very special guest I'd like to call up right now. She came all the way up from the Deep South tonight. You've seen her, you've heard her, Ann Jerash. Ann, I know when I start getting around you, I talk a little like this, but I'm going to try not to do that today. But you are a rare gem, and I'd love to know from you, because you live and breathe and are trying single-handedly pretty much to keep your temple going. What the show means to you and what the Institute of Southern Jewish Life has meant to you to really help people understand how vital it is to keep the synagogue going in your faith.
Well, I was really hoping to meet Mr. Goldring. He makes our temple possible through Lacey Hart's Institute of Southern Jewish Life. But you realize, with you coming down south in the summer, it's like me coming to New York in the winter.
Well, you know, faith, as we said in the story, faith has no boundaries in terms of acceptance and tolerance. And I think what your temple does so beautifully and what you live and the way you lead your life really reinforces that in a world that is very challenging right now.
I was speaking tonight. I think in a town like Vicksburg, Mississippi, our Christian friends keep us going. They know we're different, that we're not Christian, but at the same time, our Judaism, it reinforces our Judaism. And growing up a Reformed Jew in the South is very lax, if I may say so, in my own faith. But those who grow up in traditional Jewish homes and temples, you have something I truly envy, because that was never my life. I have a cartoon. I wish I had cut it out. That if I get to the pearly gates and St. Peter is there, he's going to say, maybe you can come in, you know. And then down south, we also have jokes about getting to heaven past the Baptist. Go quietly past because they think they're the only ones here. Susan, that's not what you asked me, but I love being here. Thank you. This is a marvelous experience for me, and I truly am grateful to be here.
Well, and we're grateful for you. There is no doubt that there could be a reality series about the people of Vicksburg. And I also want to extend a hello and a thank you to the gentleman sitting behind Ann, if you could just stand up, Macy Hart, who is the president of the Institute of Southern to promote and preserve Judaism in the 13 Southern Jewish states, and believe me, it is a daunting challenge. So I want to thank him for that. I just want to know, before we have one more speaker, a surprise guest, if anybody has any questions to ask about the show, what we're doing.
I do.
Yes.
I love these films. I want to talk a little tachlis. So when is it going to be on? How many have you made? How many have you planned? I want the real nitty-gritty.
I love multi-part questions like that. God willing, as my grandmother used to say, we will launch this spring, and it will be a weekly 30-minute show in a prime time slot, 8 p.m. on Sundays. Some of us used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show on Sundays at 8 p.m. Oh, those laughs mean you can remember. And you can get it in New York here on, not Comcast, Time Warner in New York, and on Long Island. You can get it on DirecTV, but most cable providers make the show available, so you should be able to see it. We have shot enough stories for another, we try and parcel our budget so that we can shoot in one geographic location. So we did shoot other stories in the South, so there'll be a second episode coming up, but the hope is that we run 10 30-minute episodes in our first season, and then continue based on that.
Susan, where did you get the inception to do this kind of series? Like, where was this whole idea born? And the second part to my question is, where do these stories come from? Do you seek them? Do they seek you? How does that marriage happen?
Sure. The idea came to me when, after covering the Maccabiah games in 2013 with JLTV in Israel, Phil Blazer, Adam's dad, and Adam approached me and said, well, Phil said, you know, I've always wanted to do a show a little like Charles Corot, you know, on the road, but gone Jewish. And so, funny enough, I always loved that show too, Without the Mistress and the Winnebago. So I thought it would be fun to do a series like that, and we collaborated, and the research has come, tremendous amount of research from my colleagues, two of my colleagues and myself, to put this together, from learning about the Institute of Southern Jewish Life for this episode, and working closely with Macy and his amazing team of people who have their tentacles out in all 13 Jewish states. But it comes from internet searches, it comes from word of mouth, which is very important, referrals. I mean, so many people have already come to us and said, God, you know, I know somebody in this town, you really should talk to them. And that's going to be very important to be able to plan stories moving forward.
Susie, I got Steve over here.
Hi, Susie. I think it's a great program you put together.
Can you hear me?
How do you differentiate between the compelling stories that you're going to want to share with the rest of the world, and to what level of intensity or significance you're going to try to share with us?
Well, we gave you, I think, a very good sampling, I hope, of three very different places and different people. If I understand your question correctly, I mean, I don't want to go back to ancient history to talk about some of these things. There certainly have been a lot of programs done about the history of the Jews. I really want to look into small communities and big towns and cities as well that have small communities and large communities like a Memphis or an Atlanta, if you talk about the South. But it's really the people who will determine what the story is and where it will be. And if there's someone who has a wonderful idea, I really welcome it. There's really no strict criteria, except it has to be an interesting central character, like an Ann, or Bill, because he has bourbon, or Ziggy, because he's got good matzo ball soup. So those are really things that sway us. But really, somebody who's really, as I said, tikkun olam, somebody who's quietly going about doing something that's good for the community, or really kind of reinforcing and promoting and helping to preserve the unique Jewish heritage that we all enjoy.
So this is great, and you're amazing. How do we help you?
Oh.
How do we know we can give you stories? What else can all of us do for you and for the series?
Well, I don't want you to feel like it's the high holy days where I'm going to send around the pledge card. But look, the reality is that Jewish Life Television operates very much like a PBS. So our livelihood, our future, relies on donations from foundations. Bill Goldring made this possible. There have been private donors, you saw in the credits, people who've helped to contribute. Each show, each episode, and we run pretty lean. There are 5 of us, 2 camera people and 3 of us. Costs about $70,000, which in the world of television for a 30-minute show is not astronomical. So we really need to raise another $700,000 to be able to complete season 1. It's all 100% tax deductible through Jewish Life Foundation, the charitable arm of Jewish Life TV. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but I think that's really what would be most helpful. In addition to, and I'm not minimizing the need for really good story ideas.
Card. Just wanted to know the card.
Yes, I'm going to share with you. Now's a good time. When you leave, there are cards, which, to your question, you can, we happen to have credit card readers tonight. We just happened to bring some with us. We didn't know we would need them. So it wasn't planned, of course. But you can look at the card, and there are different levels. And then we also, on that card, ask for your email, or if you want to contact us, there are ways to do that on that card. Because honestly, receiving the good ideas will make the show. Without the good stories, we can't get funding, we can't do anything. But that's my fervent hope, is that we can complete 10 30-minute episodes before the end of the year.
Maybe Adam can answer this, but who's your #1 advertiser right now on JLTV?
That's a question for Adam, I think.
Yeah, sure. The film studios, Hollywood Film Studios for feature film releases.
Good answer.
So I have one more special guest, someone I have known for a very long time. Someone who has been a longtime supporter of the show, to whom I'm very grateful. The fact that she's my sister has nothing to do with it. And that is Kathy Niesloss. Excuse me, Kathy Niesloss Leventhal.
spouse in such a long time. You know, when you've lived with your husband longer than you ever lived at home with your parents, and you realize, I'm really old. Anyway, I'm so gratified when I look out and I see so many friends. There are people that are in the audience that Susie and I and my brother Jimmy went to elementary school with, and people from all parts of our lives, and it's really gratifying. And tonight is really gratifying. And I'm so very proud of Susie. I just want to say 2 or 3 things, and a lot of it's already been said. There's a lot going on in the world. Current events are not so happy. We won't talk about the stock market. But there is a lot of anger out there, and we're all feeling it. And without getting into politics, we need to look no further than the rising popularity of someone like Donald Trump, who's really resonating and has connected with a lot of people who are very angry in the world. And in many ways, the social unrest that we see, which is so unsettling, is giving rise to a new wave of anti-Semitism in our country, and in particularly on college campuses, which is particularly upsetting because that is the next generation. I'm not going to be negative, and certainly I don't mean to even imply anything negative after seeing something so upbeat and poignant as these 3 segments we just saw. My goal tonight is to underscore just how vital it is that we do everything that we can to nourish our heritage so that Jewish communities like Vicksburg and the dreams and hopes of someone like Anne can be sustained and can flourish. Providing a compelling first-person account of what it's like to be a Jew in various parts of our country is what America Undiscovered is all about, and it's what you've seen tonight. I have a relationship with the USC Shoah Association, Shoah Foundation, and this is what it's taught me. That first-person testimony is unquestionably the most effective, most powerful, most persuasive teaching tool that we have to document history and to reshape people's thinking. We need to communicate, we need to amplify the viability of Jews in America. We need to embrace and enlighten and entertain with stories of Jewish lives today. I mean, Susie just said she doesn't want to go back over history, but it's about Jewish lives today. So we don't lose our Jewish history and our Jewish identity. America Undiscovered will provide a positive platform to highlight the cultural roots that bind all of us to one another. America Undiscovered will help Jews feel proud to be Jews. And America Undiscovered will give non-Jews a window into our culture. The 10 episodes that Susie talked about wanting to produce will promise to be relevant, upbeat, and if people like Ziggy and Anne and Bill are part of it, even funny with Susie behind them. To counterbalance the increasing racial, cultural, and religious intolerance that sadly we're seeing all around us. And Susie already mentioned, I keep calling her Susie, you know her as Susie. Susie already mentioned that Jewish Life Television, like public broadcasting, is purely by donations from corporations, foundations, and individuals, everybody like us. I am very, very, very proud of what Susie has done, of a dream that she had and making it come to life. And on behalf of Susan and her very talented team, Kristen and Denise in particular, I thank you all for being part of this evening. And I hope as you've seen a preview of America Undiscovered, you've gotten excited, and I hope that you will help get the word out and join me in supporting this extraordinary project. And hopefully you're going to see lots and lots of wonderful stories on America Undiscovered, and congratulations. Everybody stay warm, get home safe, and thank you.